On this show, we have Danielle Dowell from the Do Well team at Berkshire Hathaway in Chicago. She talks about the success that she found having left the bar and restaurant industry and getting into real estate. And you can see how her being a morning person, first of all, being a morning person is very difficult to be in the bar industry. But being a morning person and consuming the amount of information she consumes at breakfast before she starts her day is a direct impact on the success that she has because of the information that she attains. And I think that it's pretty easy to overlook that with everything that we have going on in real estate right now. It's easy to be distracted by the media. It's easy to be distracted by the market, but yet information and how you communicate that information to the consumer can directly impact your success. And she goes into that amongst other things. Enjoy the show. Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Remington Ramsey. Thank you for listening and thank you for sharing. We are a top 5% global podcast across all platforms because you share this with your friends. And I hope that if you get one thing out of this show, you share it with one friend. Today, we have Danielle Dowell, rebranded Do Well, on the show in the Chicago market, having just surpassed $1 billion in sales. Welcome to the show, Danielle.
Thank you for having me.
I'm excited to talk to you about your transition into real estate because having started in the bar scene where you were moving around the country and launching bars, I know owning a sports bar myself, you've got owners, you've got managers, and then you've got bartenders and staff. And not everyone that's in that scene has the makeup of someone who wants to be or will be successful in real estate. So how did you transition out of bars and restaurants into real estate?
Well, so I had moved to Chicago from St. Louis and I wanted to get out of that industry. I love the industry. I'm just a morning person. I love working out in the morning. I like 5 o'clock in the morning is the 6 o'clock in the morning is where I love to be. And that's really hard when you're in the industry. But I love the industry because it was a hustle game. It was fun. You met great people and you met a lot of different people from like all different backgrounds. And so I really like that about it. So when I moved here, my brother at the time was in mortgages and I was talking to him about like, hey, what should I do? Like, where am I at? I didn't have like a 4-year degree. That's a whole nother story, but that's fine. And I was like, because I can't go into a traditional role. And my brother is like, why don't you go into real estate? Like, when you're at the bar, you're talking to people, you're making tips, you're making them feel good, you're having conversations. Like it's kind of the same thing. Obviously, you have a lot more that you have to learn. So my brother's the one that had actually mentioned it to me. And I thought, okay, great. And so when I got to Chicago, I looked actually on Craigslist because that was the thing at the time. Now I'm dating myself. Take that one off. No, just kidding. So I wanted to work for a woman and I found a woman that was a top producer in Chicago who had an ad out for an assistant and I applied and I got the job.
On Craigslist, she had an ad out for an assistant.
Yes.
Man, that is wild. I was actually just talking about Craigslist the other day. I think the first time I bought a car was off of Craigslist and I would never do that today. The world has changed. Facebook, I feel like when you buy things off of Marketplace where you can actually see common friends and real people, there's just so much spam and fake things out there. So you got into the industry and you've been in the industry for 18 years now. That was back in 2007. So you were entering the industry at a very interesting time as an assistant. And then in 2008, officially got your license. Did you comprehend what was actually going on in the industry at the time, or did you just keep your head down and work?
Yeah, absolutely not. I had no clue. And which was honestly one of the best things that ever happened to me because I learned that you had to work hard from the beginning. If I look back and now I know what I know, the people that were working at that time, it was just hand over fist making money. It was a crazy, crazy time, right? And so after that happened, you had to work especially hard to get any of the deals done. I mean, I remember us having listings and showing them 80, 90, 100 times over the course of like 6 to 8 months and not getting one offer. It was a crazy, crazy time period. You had to have like a lot of resilience and you had to really push. And I remember a lot of top realtors that I didn't know at the time were top realtors left the industry for several years and they came back afterwards. That's how bad it was. It was insane, but it was a great time to learn.
You know what? I started in the industry at the same time, same exact year, 2008. And I tell people the same thing. It was the best thing that could have happened to me because I didn't know. I didn't know how easy it was for people before me. I didn't know. I just knew that this is the work that I needed to do to get the results that I wanted. And I didn't like what I was doing before. And I wanted to take entrepreneurship seriously. And so it was just normal to me. And so for people like us who got in and stuck it out, the years to follow where it became easier almost doubled your business without even trying, because you had already learned the skill set and applied it twice as hard as everybody else.
Yep.
So you had you told me in the pre-show that you're big into basketball, and you still play in a men's league as a female. You got to have some skills to be doing that.
I mean, it's technically co-ed. There's just not like there's me and like one other woman that plays in the
yeah,
but it's fun.
But in reading the notes, this is kind of a common theme, because you were, a woman in the construction and listing side, development side. Like, that was rare. You were CS Magazine's dynamic woman. You're just you're proving constantly, time and time again, that in an industry that had previously been dominated by men, in a sport that's dominated seemingly by men, you can make a name for yourself. And do you feel like the parallelism of what you like to do in your spare time with basketball and your hobbies pours over into your vocation in terms of just, I can do this too kind of attitude?
I mean, yeah, I never really, I don't know if it was how I was raised or what, but I never had a feeling that I couldn't do anything, like almost to a fault. And there's been a lot of times that I failed in life, but like whatever I failed in, I just kind of picked it back up and just made it into something and kept going. So to me, it's failure, but it's also like you have to have those periods. And I think with even basketball and everything that I do, and being so heavily construction where it's men dominated, it just, I don't know, it just never really, it doesn't bother me. It just very much is very comfortable for me. I feel like I understand like the personality types and how that they react and what they need and how to do things. And I've always just been like super business minded. And I probably lean a little bit more, even though I have a very creative side, I'm a little more like, I guess financially, fiscally, like, I'm a numbers person too. And I think that really helps in a lot of those fields, especially when you're in construction, because there's so many elements. It's, design, sales, but it's also understanding, square footage, FAR, architecture, all of those kind of things. So for me, yeah, it's just come naturally. Like, it really has never been anything that I've like double guessed or thought that I shouldn't be here. It probably made me feel more comfortable being in some of those arenas than it would have been like, being in an arena with a bunch of women that have kids that are chatting, because I don't have any clue about that kind of stuff, but I know basketball, I know construction. So it's just who I am. I can't say anything else besides that about it,
Well, in that time you saw the industry shift. I mean, it was male dominated, but now I think NAR came out with the stat where it's like 53% female. Is completely flipped.
Okay.
I think what's more fascinating about the transition is the skill set that you brought in from launching bars and restaurants, because and I think people have this backwards too. So I own a sports bar here in Fishers on the north side of Indy, and there's servers like, if the median household income or single person income is like in the 50s, I have servers that will make well over $100,000 because they take every shift and they hustle their butts off.
Yeah.
And so you being a morning person, that is a little bit of a struggle bus with bars that close at 2 a.m. and then still trying to get up in the morning. But the hustle culture that serving does and launching does probably helped really big time in the transition, where you decided to go from an assistant helping somebody else, getting your license, and then starting your team. And so you've actually, in the 10 years, has it been 10 years since you launched your team?
Yeah, 10 years. Mm-hmm.
So 10 years to hit $1 billion in sales. Walk me through that journey, because that's not a normal trajectory.
Well, I mean, I think part of that sales too is previous, when I was by myself or when I had a smaller, like more me and my sister were partnering to some of those sales. So it wasn't all the billion was done in just the 10 years, but we have substantially as a team every year started to do a lot more business. And it's kind of one of those things that's just kind of imploded, and it's just kind of kept going like that. But I think I've never really had a number in mind. I honestly just wake up and just enjoy what I do so much that I just start working and I like it and I don't have a problem with it. And that's just who I am as a person. But I think getting to $1 billion has been amazing, just because you realize how many people don't and how much effort and time that you put into that. And we are in the Chicago market. So depending on what market you in, yeah, you could look at us and say like our price point's much higher, but also for a lot of big cities, we're actually a kind of a pretty low price point, right? Like you don't get the big deals like you do in New York or San Fran or LA or like, some of even Miami, things of that nature. Our deals are not like super huge. And we do a lot of new construction and we do a lot of luxury, but we also do everything else in between. Like I'm not a person that ever wants to shy away from helping anyone out if we possibly can, because everyone's at a certain point in their life today and that point can change. And so you always want to be that, advocate for whatever that person wants. But I think for me, as far as getting to, that number, it's, I don't know. I really don't, it's kind of hard to even express because I don't really think about it that much. I just kind of wake up and like kind of keep going, and like, what's the next thing that we're going to do? Like, I think now for me, it's not so much about the number, but it's just building such a bigger team, because what I've noticed is once you start to have that volume come in and you start to get that market share, it kind of starts to steamroll and it just kind of keeps up picking pace as long as you keep feeding it. And like it's snowball effect. It starts to get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Bigger, and it becomes easier. So then let's talk about the difference between the hardest year ever or the year that you sold the least amount to obviously where you keep growing in this last year. Like what was the difference in attitude or action that you had in the years where you weren't steamrolling?
So for me, it's not about me. It's about the team and it's about the people. Like everything that we do, I do, or as a team, it's all about who I'm working with on my team. If my team is at peak performance and I have the best team, which right now I have the best team that I've ever had, I mean, it's unlimited to what we can do. But everything, in my personal opinion, I'm just speaking of real estate, but I think in life in general, is about who you surround yourself with and who's working with you. And so when it's been a hard year, it's usually been because there's been issues within this infrastructure or things aren't going as they're planned to be, right? And when it's an easy year, it's because everyone is on the same page, they're on the same level, and they're all pushing the same way. And we've been kind of on that trajectory the last couple 2 to 4 years, I would say. Also, I think I learned a lot of lessons throughout the time period of hiring and also just like what energies work with our team and what personalities do. And also I'm at the point where I can give a lot more of my energy to the team and mentoring and giving them leads and helping them. And so I think that helps as well. But yeah, it's all about the people. Like I would never be able to do this without my team, and my team's amazing.
All right. So I told you in the pre-show, we like to get in the weeds on this, and you're very polished and PC and not wanting to put anyone down. But what I heard between the lines is that in the tough years, there was people on the team that shouldn't have been, or people in positions that should have been in different positions. So how do you identify that someone, and maybe they're not even a poison, maybe they just don't click. How do you identify someone's in the wrong seat, and what do you do, and how quickly do you act when you figure that out?
So I think that was a part of me growing as a team lead too, right? Like I think beforehand, I would allow the person to stay around a little bit longer. And it's a lot of just personality. It doesn't mean that you're right, they're wrong, or vice versa. It's just what fits in the team. There's a such thing as a culture, and it is a for real thing. It is people say, oh, people only want to be on your team because like it's a money thing. I had someone tell me that like it has nothing to do with culture, it's money. I'm like, no, it's absolutely, that is so not correct in my opinion at all. And I think if you talk to anyone on my team, they would say the same thing. I mean, you want to work with people that you actually genuinely enjoy being around. I mean, that's a huge part of like what life is, and whether you're working or whether your personal life, in my opinion. And I think we try to get people that not only do well in real estate, but work well together on the team and do well in real estate. And so for us, that has been me learning as a team lead. Okay, if this person's personality isn't a fit, or this person is trying to take control of a situation they shouldn't be, or they're, you can kind of see it now. And now it's, to be honest, we don't really have that many people that go or that leave. If they do, I kind of can tell from the beginning, and sometimes they're on the outlying edges of the team. Usually they're not super internal. But yeah, I mean, I think if you find someone that's not going to fit it, usually for the most part, if you can fill it, it's not going to get any better.
I like that answer. And I think identifying those cancers in your organization are more important than we give it credit for. I think if you look back over the years and you look at your quantum charts of success, it'd be really easy just to look at numbers and think about what's going on in the market at the time, and to forget what's actually going on in your team at the time. And so I like what you're saying there. So as you're growing your team, if you're starting at like, I don't have my real estate license, if I went and got it tomorrow,
Yep.
What would be my steps based on, let's just assume that I start growing and I can actually legitimately bring on new people to the team, whether that's admin or sales or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's not a one size fits all, but for you, what was your journey? How did you add to the team and what was necessary to help support?
So I added to the team based off of like what the needs were. So if we needed like an office manager, admin, that's what we hired. We tried to find that skill set in the person that we were hiring. We also don't hire anyone that's brand new unless you come on in sort of like a assistant type role. And I like that because you'll learn so much in being a year or two with us as an assistant that you'll have more knowledge than probably an agent that's been in the business 10 years by themselves. Because the amount of transaction and deal flow that you're seeing is really what you need to get yourself to like the next level. And so that's how we kind of do that. Then all the rest of the agents that I hire are basically, you know, they typically have 2 to 3 years plus experience. I have agents on my team that have been in business longer than I am. I have agents on the team that, you know, they run the gamut on everything. But that's typically how I hire. And so we need different roles for different things. The other thing that I do is when I bring someone on and I see like, okay, this person may not be good at this, but they really excel at this. Within reason, if I have the capabilities, I try to put them in the position where I can see them excelling and take some of the other stuff they don't like away. Now, granted, I tell them I can't do this all the time because we all occasionally have to do things that we don't want to do, right? But my job as a team lead is to try to put you in the best position to make you feel the best about yourself so that you can produce the most. And so if I think that you're amazing at open houses, I may give you more open houses. If I think you're amazing on the phone and you want some more Zillow, you're going to get Zillow. You know, I can see what everyone's good at. You know, you've been doing this long enough, you can feel it, you can see it. And so if I feel like that you're going to do well in this environment, I'm going to push you and put you more in that environment. Like I had a guy on my team that was doing videos. I was like, you're amazing at videos. Like, why don't you do videos? So he started doing videos. It took him like a year and a half to create and like keep pushing, but he gets all of his, you know, clients. He got all of his clients from videos, right? Same thing with a girl with the open houses. I mean, she was amazing at open house and just slay it. I was like, do 4 a weekend. Like that's how you're going to make your money. So
You said something earlier about assistants seeing a massive amount of volume of deals going through and the actual flow helps them learn more about real estate. Have you seen assistants grow into agents consistently from that?
yeah, like some
So there'll
really
be an
great
assistant,
agents.
there'll be an admin assistant to an agent and then become an agent themselves, kind of like your journey.
Yes. So my thought process is not to keep someone in a place. Like I'm not trying to make you my assistant for 5 to 10 years at all. I really want you to be in the position for 2 years. If your goal is to be an agent, I want you to be doing this for maybe 2 years. And then I think at that point, you should be able to do it yourself, right? You know, everyone's on a different journey, so that may not apply for certain. But like my intention is to never keep someone down or to hold them back. My intention is to like push them forward and to help them out to get to the next level. Because I feel like if I do that, number one, I want to see people succeed. But if you do that and you help people, I think people really genuinely remember that, you know, and they'll help you. And I think me personally, my goal in life has always been to help as many people as I possibly can within what I'm good at. And what I'm good at is business and real estate. Now, there's a lot of things I'm not good at, a ton, but we're just going to stick with the business and real estate. And I know that I'm good at it. I know that I can help people get to the next level within reason doing that.
You hang your license with Berkshire, right?
Yes.
So with all the big brands that are national and all the big brands that are dominating Chicago, I'm curious, as we're seeing bigger companies absorb the smaller guys, this is kind of a trend that big companies are getting bigger and you almost have to team up, otherwise you're going to be swallowed. Is the way it feels. I don't know if it's right or not. It's just what I've noticed when we're looking around.
Yeah.
In Chicago, why have you decided to, as the $1 billion team that you are, hot commodity in real estate, could go anywhere, you decided to partner with Berkshire Hathaway? I'm curious as to why.
So I've been with Berkshire since the beginning, so I know no different. However, obviously you talk to everyone else. You have a ton of friends in the industry that work for all these other players and things of that nature. So that's one. I feel like being a brokerage is like a game of chess at this point. You want to position yourself in the right place in order to maximize your exposure. And for us, that's Berkshire right now. I also don't believe in like the cool kids club. I've never like cared about that stuff. And so just because everyone else wants to go to a brokerage because it's hot, it's new, it's fun, it's sexy, whatever, that just doesn't really apply to me. I'm more of like looking at the numbers kind of person of like, what is this really going to do for me? And I mean, I want to be surrounded by people that I love and I want to hang out with, but my pure goal is not to go to a place just because a bunch of my friends are going there. And so I think it's a little bit differently about where to position myself. And so that's why I stay with Berkshire. Also, I say Berkshire brand wise, everyone's like, it's about the age and it's not about the brand. Totally get that and agree. But I will tell you, with Berkshire's brand, I think if you pull a lot of the general public, they know Berkshire's brand way over they know a lot of the competitors that we're speaking about. And I'm not saying that that's good or bad or indifferent. I'm just saying that I think it's a fact. And I think for us, it positions us good where we're currently at within the market.
I like that answer. You've seen a lot of changes in the industry, and since 2007, the internet has changed the game. Zillow came along, disrupted. Redfin has been a disruptor.
Yeah.
Brokerages like Compass and EXP have been a disruptor. What do you think, as you're looking at your crystal ball and you look over the next 10 years, what do you think is coming that is going to redefine the industry?
I don't know if I know exactly what's going to redefine the industry, but I appreciate the disruptors. I'm always up to a challenge and open for it. And I think it creates different thought processes of ways to think. I tell my team this every day, like, I love change. I don't hate change. I think if you embrace it, then you're able to see through it and you're able to come up with ideas, even if you have to change who you are, how you're running things or what you're doing in order to maximize how much money you're able to make. And I think a lot of people, when they can't deal with change or disruptors, they get this like block up, and that's what kills their business because they're not willing to change what they're doing. I'm always willing to change. I love it. So to me, I don't know what the next biggest thing would be, but I mean, I'm here for it and open to watching it happen because it doesn't bother me.
It would get boring otherwise, right? I mean, at some point, we interview the top 1% of agents across the country. So at some point, unless I ask the right questions, it could be the same story as somebody else. You're successful, you make a bunch of money, and you live a cool lifestyle. But I talked to you in the pre-show about what you do with that money, because you're not married, you don't have kids, and you have the success that you have allows you to give even more. And you've decided to give back in a pretty cool way. And you're talking about specifically growing up. This is to bring it back to basketball. You could not afford to go see Michael Jordan play. You wanted to see Michael Jordan. That was like, and that was in the same boat. I was a big Michael Jordan fan growing up. I remember mastering drawing the Bulls logo, and I would draw it everywhere on all my papers and everything like that. But you grew up rather poor in Missouri, and now you want to provide opportunities that you didn't have. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I think, when I was a kid growing up, I watched every one of Michael Jordan's game, like me, my dad, my brother, like every night on TV, like this glued, obsessed, like huge basketball fan. And I, always died to go to a game. And they had their 20th anniversary. At this point, I'm in Chicago and already, in my career and everything. And so I buy me and my dad and my brother tickets because Scotty, Michael, everyone was there for this 20th anniversary thing that they did. I think it was 20th anniversary guy. And me and my dad are like, we have like tickets like right up like half court, and they all come out at halftime. And I literally look at my dad and like, he's crying, I'm crying. Like it was such a cool moment for us, I guess. But so I think what I would like to do, and I think, for me as a child, when you grow up, and it's not that you're growing up necessarily bad, but you just don't have the means to do certain things. I think in order to see like someone like a Michael Jordan or like now a Taylor Swift or like someone that you look up to so much, like just to see them, like even if we could have been at the highest seat at the United Center at that time period, I would have died. It would have been like, I can't even imagine like my thought process and how I would have felt about it. But so I kind of kept thinking like, where do you want, you start to think of legacy as you get older. And the fact that I don't have any kids, I started to talk to my sister who was once my partner. She ended up having 2 kids and she's married and they now live over on the West Coast. And I said, I want to kind of think of something like what I would want. And what I would like is I would like to do well by playing it forward. And by playing it forward, it's kind of like paying it forward. But, for people, you don't, kind of little Make-A-Wish Foundation-ish. Not that you have to have the kids have to have anything wrong with them. It's just you can't afford to go see this important person. You could be a musician and you want to see this particular person. There's no way that your family could take you. And so what I'd like to do is kind of start, a 501c3 charity that helps children and their families go to see these important people that, these kids look up to, and hopes that maybe seeing that one person will make them, want to push themselves even further out of maybe a spot that they feel is destitute now, to like parlay them into living like their best life, in the future.
You got a little choked up when you're talking about that moment with your dad. And when you have something that means so much to you, turning around and wanting to provide that for somebody else, that joy, I think that's pretty special. So that's cool. Where can people find information about this?
So we just now started doing it. Me and my sister's helping me. So we haven't really, actually, you're the first person I've even told about it besides my sister. And well, I think my best friend actually told her. But so we're going to start rolling it out probably next year, 2026. My sister, actually, her kids are getting ready to go to school and she's kind of ready to come back. And I would really love for her to help me with it. And she's kind of agreed to. So yeah, we're going to start rolling it out. We're going to see what we're going to do. I'd love to like at some point do fundraisers for it, want to give back like commission that I do to it and just finance it a little bit of myself. But just something that I want to be able to like, when I'm gone, like this could still possibly, hopefully maybe be here. And since I don't have my own kids, it's kind of like maybe having my own kids a little bit.
We'll check in a year and see how it's going. I like to talk to everyone, Danielle, about what they're reading or consuming to grow. We are a growth junkie podcast. Some people like to read. Some people do it on podcasts, but I'm curious, is there a book or anything you have read that has contributed to your success?
So I read a lot. In the morning when I get up, like my first hour is all reading. A lot of it is, a lot of it's like checking stocks accounts. Like I'm really big into like finance, crypto, like all of that kind of stuff, seeing where the markets are, what's going on. I do a lot of Wall Street Journal reading, Inman. I have a slew, like a lot of stuff that I read in the morning. And then, besides that, like I'm in a book club, but the ladies that I'm in tend to like to read kind of like more of those like, romantic novels, which isn't like quite my thing, but I partake. But I think like there was Atomic Habits years ago. I read that. That was a great one. I think, I don't even know. It's been so long ago that I read that, but that's a really good book. There's a lot of different books like that. I'm not a super like self-help person, but occasionally I like to put something out there when it makes sense. The Molecule of More, I don't know if you've started to read that. Like that, I'm like halfway through that, and that book is kind of blowing my mind on some of the thoughts in it. So
the Molecule of More.
Molecule of More. And then, I do like podcasts. I go in and out of my podcasts. Like I'll be like really into podcasts for a while, and then I'm like, okay. Mel Robbins, like, I think she's great for certain people. Like for me, like our thought process is we don't think the same way, but she had Emma Grady on there, who is like I think she's the one that did like Skims and did like some of the fashion stuff. Her story, I think I've always loved her story. I think the way that she even thinks, I like her thought process because I feel like that's kind of my thought process. She's kind of an abundance theory and like helping out and giving back, and like she didn't come from anything and just really worked her tail off. And like, like she's very much of like, even when you sell at something, you're still succeeding, which is what I thought. Like, you don't really think it's failure because like you're picking pieces up. Like I always tell someone when I give you like a lead or a piece of business, like it's not that you should just run with it and make money off of that. You should turn that into 2 or 3 more things, right? That's the point. And that's how you really are successful. And that's anytime someone's given me the opportunity to do something with them, I've always tried to make it bigger than what it was just that opportunity. And she thinks that way a lot. So I like that. So I think she's really great. She has a podcast. I've listened to a couple of those. That's
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Well, I just got done information. I like information. I like I can be kind of savage of it sometimes.
Well, I mean, you wake up in the morning. You already said you're a morning person. I don't think you have to be a morning person to be successful, but I do think it's interesting how many successful people are morning people, and the amount of information you consume before most people start their day, I think is it attributes some of your success can be attributed there. I think. I'm going to look into some of these books. The Molecule of More, I haven't heard much about it, so I'm going to have to do some digging. We'll put it in the show notes. Danielle, where can we find you?
So you can find us on Instagram, Facebook at the Do Well Group. My personal Instagram is miss.danielledow. That's really the only thing that I check. All of our other stuff, I'm participating in, but it's kind of ran by other people. If you guys ever like need any help in Chicago, we're here to help you guys. Business referrals, whatever. I'm not going to the Real Producers event this year in Dallas, but I will definitely come next year for sure.
Yeah, we appreciate that. And Danielle from the Do Well team in Chicago. Thanks for being on the show. If you want to impact who we have on the show or what we talk about, email us at podcast@realproducersmag.com, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for being on, Danielle.
Thank you. Have a good day.